Be back in 10 seconds.
Okay, so we're back. We are just now going to puncture our main feed line and run off our 1/4 inch lines into each of the buckets. So what I did was I picked up a couple of different things from Home Depot. This is the puncture line that we're going to be putting into the main feed line, attaching each little individual line into this guy. I do highly suggest that you buy the purple tool it's from Rainbird, and it's called a Zerman tool, I guess. It just makes your life easier when puncturing the lines themselves. We're also in that each line that goes into the bucket, we are going to put in a control valve, because from what I understand, anytime you're messing with your plants at all, your pump will kick on in the least opportune time and spray you with water. And if you decide to buy a bigger pump than you needed, you can also control the flow that way so you're not going crazy or anything like that. So let's get started on the first one. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using the purple tool. I just inserted my puncture into the end. I'm going to grab my hose and I'm just going to pop it in. It's easier if you kind of start the hole first with a nail, but a little bit of finagling, you can get it punctured in. Once it's in, it's good to go. Pops right off the handle. That's that. We're then going to be using our feeder line. I'll be posting in the description a link to this from Amazon. The reason why we go with this and not the traditional irrigation line is that this stuff is super flexible and bendy. I am going to cut a small piece of this off first because I still want to add in my throttle control valve. It just makes life a lot easier when you're working on a plant, or say you're draining your system. You can just turn off all your independent lines. It takes you a few minutes extra to do this, but it just stops you from getting splashed if you're working on anything. So I just cut off a small piece of my tube, attach that to my main line, make sure it's all the way on. So, then you put your control valve on. These can be a pain sometimes to get on. Okay, good connection, good connection. And then with your line going into your bucket, you want to kind of measure it to make sure it can go roughly to about the depth of where your outbound pipe is. The reason why is as my plants start growing, I'm actually going to use some PVC pipe, and it's just I'm going to put the PVC pipe to end right where roughly my roots start for my plant. That way as my plant grows, I just keep pushing the PVC and the line farther and farther into the bucket, making sure that my plant constantly gets the nutrition that it needs. So roughly, guesstimate, I'll give it a little bit extra because this cable likes to twirl up. So I'm going to cut about here. And then again, you just put it on the other side of your valve. You make sure it goes all the way on, nice and tight. You don't want any leaks. Make sure your valve is on. There we go. And you can also adjust the amount of water entering the line that way too. Like I said earlier, sometimes if you get a bigger pump, it might be overkill, might be overpressurizing your system. You're giving your plants a drip, not a gigantic shower. So we're going to put the camera up on a tripod, and we're going to just do a time lapse of Alyssa and I doing the rest of the buckets. After that, we'll come back. I'll show you about what I'm talking about with the PVC pipe. We'll get our 2 plants that Tom donated to us, 2 tomato plants, put in our buckets, get the system up and running, and you guys get to watch us see if we did this right or if we failed completely and destroyed everything.
Gotta do the thing.
The what thing?
The thing.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back. I just ended up doing all the lines, like I said, in the high-speed montage. The final step before we plant our plants is I'm actually going to cut PVC pipe, roughly about 5, maybe 6 inches, most likely 5.5 inches. And we're going to put these in the buckets, and then from there we're going to put our feeder lines in the PVC pipe. And it just helps us control where exactly the solution is going to enter the bucket, and I want to get my solution as close to the bottom of the roots as possible. So as my plant grows bigger and bigger, the pipe I'll push down farther and farther into the perlite. So that's what we're going to do now. Grabbing my PVC cutters. Again, if you notice, I really don't do any measurements. So I'm guesstimating I'm going to cut about here. On my PVC, and then that's just going to get stuck into the perlite like so, and then the line goes inside. What you're looking at for each bucket is something roughly like that. Line goes inside, and then as your roots grow deeper and deeper, you just push the pipe down farther and farther. Because sometimes, like because this is so flexible, it will get knotted up in the bottom of your bucket, and it'll get all weird. So it's just an easier way, and you can just pop it up, push it wherever you want it to go, so on and so forth. Okay, so we're going to put you back on the high speed, and then we're going to do the rest of these buckets, and then at the end we're going to plant the 2 tomato plants that my friend Tom gave to us. He grows his in some weird magical solution. It's by NutriPlus, like growth starter or root starter. I'll put it in the description down below, but the stuff's amazing. I'm going to end up buying some on my own because I mean it's crazy. He literally threw the plants in a mason jar and they're ridiculously rooted. They're not looking so good because we've been sitting on them for about a week now before, and they probably should have been planted at least a week or 2 ago into these buckets, and that's kind of why we're hurrying up and rushing today. So with that being said, let's do the time lapse. So I got all of my pipes cut, so now I'm just going to stick them into the ground. Don't mind the Seagrams. This is how Alyssa and I do house chores and projects, is we just have to drink the pain away using Seagrams, which is amazing. Shameless plug for the Seagrams wine cooler things. So what we're going to do next is we're going to plant our 2 tomato plants. I'm going to put it in bucket number 1, which is closest to the reservoir. And then I'm going to put the other one in the last bucket, bucket number 6. That way it just gives them some space to grow. And then after that, we're going to put a time lapse in. We're going to finish wiring everything up with electrical plugs. All we're going to be doing is just a regular extension cord into an outdoor power. And then we're going to put the air pump on continuous power, and then the water pump for right now, to get these plants healthy, I'm just going to run it continuous till about 9 o'clock tonight, and it's 4 right now. But the timer will be from around 9 to 6 a.m. The plants won't get any water, and then from 6 a.m., about shooting from the hip, they're going to get water for about 15 to 20 minutes every hour till 9 o'clock tonight. And the reason why people are probably freaking out, the reason why we're doing this is we live in Florida. Southwest Florida is pretty much tactical nuke strikes any northern plant, so I'm just trying to make sure that these guys are getting enough water that they need. So we'll see from there. Okay, so we finished wiring everything up. The air pump is working. Water is flowing, as you can look right here. We're getting a steady stream of water into our PVC pipes. If you wanted to just control the throttle just a little bit on how much water's coming out, you just adjust that knob. Setup's looking pretty good. We just have to wait a while for the water to cycle up and fill up the bottom of the buckets again, and then we're going to check everything for leaks. Hopefully, because it's a low pressure system, there's not going to be a lot of leakage going on. Moment of truth, we're going to plant our little... Yeah, here's our sad little tomato plants. I don't think this little dude's going to last, but we're gonna see what's gonna happen. We're gonna plant them right now. Hopefully they start to recover here soon. All I'm gonna do is literally with the Sterlite, I just dig a little hole, dig a little, put the plant in there, just like that, and then I'm gonna raise this up. Where's my water at? I'm just gonna put it right on top, just like that for right now. And then as the plant grows, I'll just get it in there nice and good. This guy's gonna go over here, bucket number 1. I don't know if he's gonna make it. We might be burying him in the graveyard of loss. The front of the last plant. Oh my goodness. With this guy, oh, it's because the power cable's on it. Oh my God. Okay.
This is much quieter than your last attempt.
Yes. Okay, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully these plants start to grow and do well.